Alright guys, so welcome to the LeetCode series. So the question today we are going to solve is called base 7. So the question statement says that given an integer, return its base 7 string representation. Okay, so in order to understand base 7, let's first understand what's actually base 7 and other bases as well. So we have the numbers we study is called base 10. Okay, so base 10 has 10 numbers, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 9. And now in order to get the next number, what we do is we take 1 and we take the 0 and then we move ahead. So we get 11. So we keep, so in starting basically 1 is actually, we see 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 4 and till 0, 9. So first we take 0 and then we put all the numbers. Then we take the next number. So this will go up till 19. So once we reach the 19 and we have tried 1 with every other combinations, we move on to the next number, which is 2, and we hence get 20. So this is basically base 10. So now if you have understand base 10, so it will be easy for you to understand what's actually base 7. So base 7 will have 7 numbers, which will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. And in order to get the 7th number, what we'll do is we'll take this 1 and we'll add 0. So the 7 in base 7 is actually called 10. Similarly, 8 will be called 11, 12 will be called 9 and 13 will be called 10. And as we move on, once we reach 16, the next number will not be 17 but will be 20. So this is the way we move, and this is actually base 7 representation of any number. So now let's take a look at the example and try to figure out what's actually written over here. So let me erase this and I take the pencil again. Okay, so the number we have given is 100 and its base 7 representation is, as you can see, is 202, and we have to return it in string representation. Okay, so now if you have been given any decimal number, so 100 input is actually a decimal number, and in order to get the base 7 representation, what we do is we take 7, we divide by it, and we take the remainder and write it over here. So first I'll get 7, then we get 7 1s are 7, 3 0, 7 4s are 28, and we get the remainder 2. So we take the remainder 2 and we write it over here. Then we again divide it by 7, we can divide it by 2, and the remainder this time will be 0. Now again we can multiply this by 0 and the remainder will be 2. So once my number is down to 0, my answer is actually the basically the base 7 representation will be this remainder but in reverse order. So my base 7 representation will be 202. Although in this case, looking at in the downward and upward direction, they both are same. But for the other example, let's take the other example, which is minus 7. So I'll take minus 7. So first I'll just take 7 for you. So I take 7. 7 1s are 7, remainder 0, and this number is still not 0. So what I'll do, I'd multiply this by 0 again, my remainder will be 1. So my answer will be from downward to upward, which will be 10. So my 10 is the answer. But here you can see that for minus 7 the answer actually is 10, but we also put a negative sign over here. So in program, while we'll be writing this, what we'll do is we'll take and save the number which we are given as input in this number variable, and what we'll do is actually save this number in another variable, and when we get the answer, we'll check that if my number is negative number, what I'll do is I'll just take the base 7 representation and add -1 ahead of the number. So I'll get the negative representation of that decimal number in the base 7 form. So now let's start writing it, and let's code this now. Okay, so the first thing I'll do is I'll create an empty string. So as we can see that we are required to return the answer in string representation. So I'll take an empty string and I'll add the numbers to it. So as I told, I'll first be saving my number in a copy variable. So my copy variable will have the same number that we are getting as an input in this function. Then what I'll do is I'll check that if my number is equal to 0, then we simply need to return 0, and that would be my answer. But if my number is less than 0, so what I'll do is I'll change my number to absolute. So this function basically acts as the mod function we have in maths. So what this does, so this function, what it does is that if we have -7, it will simply convert it to +7. So if we have any negative number, so let's say -100, this will be converted to +100. So this is what the absolute function does. So this is what we'll do, and now we'll change my number to the absolute of number. So if there will be negative number, it will be changed to positive, and later when we'll return our answer, we'll check if our answer, so if our number is actually the negative number, we'll just add the minus symbol ahead of the number, ahead of the answer. So now I'll write the loop. So while my number is greater than 0. So remember, when I was dividing this, I divided until my number becomes 0. So that's what this loop will do, and will run until the number is 0. So my remainder will be number modulus 7. So this will give me the remainder. My number will be changed to integer division 7, and what I'll do is in my string I'll concatenate the string of that remainder. So this loop will run until my the number becomes 0. Now while returning, now whenever, so I told you whenever we'll return it in the upward direction, so from down to up. So what I'll do is I'll just invert the string. So whenever I write this means we are actually reverting the string. So this will be returned if my copy, which is the number I saved in the variable, so the original number, so if my number is greater than 0, then I'll just need to return this. But if it's less than 0, what I'll do is I'll just simply add minus to it plus the reverse of the answer. So I think we should walk through this with an example, and you'll better understand this. So let's take this. Okay, so let's do the example 2. So this example, and you'll understand the question better. So we have this. So first we have this s, which is an empty string, right? We have this copy variable which has the same number. So our number is -7, so copy will have -7. Now I'll check whether if number equals 0, so this is false, so we won't be going through this condition, we'll move on to the next. So if my number is less than 0, so yes, my number is less than 0 because my number currently is actually -7. So if my number is less than 0, what we'll do is we'll take the absolute value. So my number becomes now +7. So it's +7. Okay. So while my number is greater than 0, so yes, 7 is greater than 0, we'll move on to this condition. my remainder will be 7 modulus 7, which is 0. Okay, my number will be integer division 7. So 7 integer division 7 will give us 1. So our number is now changed to 1. And in string, what we'll add is string of remainder. So our remainder is 0, so we'll add this. Okay, we go again to the loop, we check. Okay, our number is still greater than 0. So let me move this. Okay, so my number is 1, it's still greater than 0. My remainder will be number modulus 7, so it will give me 1, because 7 into 0 and then 1. Alright, my number will be 1 integer division 7, which will give us 0. And what we'll do is in string, we'll concatenate the remainder, so it will be now 0 1. That's okay. So we have the answer in our string, but here we return this if our copy is greater than equal to 0, but our copy is not greater than equal to 0. So we'll move on to the else condition. So in else condition, I add minus to it first and then the reverse of the string, because as I told, the answer will be not 0 1 but will be 1 0. So we'll need to reverse the string, so it will be minus 10, and that's what we are returning over here. So this is the whole solution. Let's try running it and see whether it's working or not. And let me clear the screen. Okay, there's a syntax error which says number is number. Okay, so we didn't we put the space over here, that's why it wasn't running. And yes, now it's running, and let's submit it. And it runs. So it's faster than 95.19% of the other Python uses. So yeah, this is pretty much the solution. It wasn't that intuitive, but yes, it was an easy question. And this is the code over here. You could write it, you could practice it, and if you have any query, you could write your query in the comment section, and I'll try answering it and trying explaining it more efficiently. So that's it from my side. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe.